Thanks. So what I was wondering is, more from the kids' point of view, is I have a fourth grader and a sixth grader, and they're getting used to these shelters in places and lockdowns, and sometimes they know they're real, sometimes they know they're drills. What they don't necessarily get is the why. My sixth grader specifically has asked me, what's the point of just hiding behind an open door if somebody's in the hallway with a gun and wants to do something? I get that there's more to it than that simplicity, but if my kid's thinking that, other kids might be thinking that, and what's done to communicate with them to understand what we're doing for them and why we're doing it?
So I'm going to let Mr. Wilson address that in just a second, but I'll perhaps if I could just take a little stab at that. You're right, we do have procedures in place, and about 5 years ago, and many of you in the audience here probably remember 2 fire drills a month. What had occurred about 5 years ago is they changed that particular piece of legislation, and instead of 2 fire drills a month, we now do 1 fire drill a month and 1 safety drill. And within those drills, there's certain drills that have to get accomplished. And we use standard operating protocol language. So lockdown may be one, lockout may be another, but we have to do so many of these drills throughout the school year and then attest to that at the end of the year. So legislation is part of it. That's number one. The education of our kids and getting our kids in a routine, I've been in the business for quite a number of years now, and I've been through some of those changes, and students are more accustomed to what they should be doing, especially younger students, because now they've had practice at it, what they should be doing in the event of a lockdown, for example, which is what you talked about. And there's very procedural ways to best protect yourself in those situations that over the years has evolved, and we've been given that information, which is the kind of information that we're passing along to our teachers who are working with the kids when they do it. And sometimes that changes, sometimes it's pull the shades up or pull the shades down. That's evolved over time as well. But we work off of what is called best practice, and it's given to us by the DOE. We're going to take it one step further here in this district, though. And that one step further is the security risk managers. We will be asking them to take a look at just those very things, and based on not only industry standards for the school, but industry standards across all areas, what really would they be recommending as well? So we have another measure of standard to measure our processes and procedures too. Mr. Wilson?
Okay, and I think I just want to piggyback on one of the things that you said. You talked about how things have evolved. Well, to answer your question, I think a lot of this is still continuing to evolve, but familiarizing students with a practice, keeping them, getting in their head that, there might be situations that require that students are in the building and that normal activities occur, but don't happen out that they don't leave the building. And there may be situations where they have to be able to lock down. Our response, so we use something called SRP, or Standard Response Protocol, that's required by our county. All of the schools in Somerset County use it, and it's a way to communicate, to better communicate to our staff and our students what is actually going on and what is that need. So it isn't just saying lockdown, and back when I was principal here, I remember they had, the code was Charlie Weiss has left the building. Some of you might remember that or know that, but that was supposed to mean that there was danger, lock the doors, and so we tried it several times, but you know what, thank God it's evolved, and we're not doing that. We're saying that there's a lockdown, and typically in the Standard Response Protocol, you follow that with something. Lockdown because, or shelter because, or lock out because, so that staff understand and students hear what the issue is. So we're continuing to evolve, and hopefully we'll get better but we also recognize that there is no one thing that we do that's going to prepare us totally for an emergency or a crisis situation. And that what our staff have to remember is that, you know, the best tool we have shared 911, we've got radios, we've got all of that, but they also have to use this thing here too, because in some situations, that's what it will require.
And Orwell, before you move on, if I can just make one more statement about drilling. And the other end of drilling is that we learn from it too. So the children get into a routine, but each of our buildings have safety teams. And the other advantage to drilling is that we debrief and we learn things as well. One of the purposes behind implementing shared 911 last year was we had discovered this need for more communication during an event. And teachers being in isolation during a lockdown. And how do we develop something or find something that will help to eliminate that barrier? And Shared 911 was a result of that. And so, you know, drilling has a purpose for kids, but it also has a purpose for us because it gives us the opportunity to debrief and just continually improve. So.